guys. I'm sitting with Mike VanWoude from Edison Brokers & Co. Mike and I get together pretty regularly, beers, coffee, whatever, just to talk about rentals. We're both in the business. We're both realtors. We both love investing and real estate, and so just a fun time to sit down. We figured we'd record it, talk about it together, and one of the things we're going to talk about today is how nerve-wracking it is, even for us. We each own a number of properties, but we both probably wake up at 3 a.m. thinking, man, could this go sideways? Could a tree fall on the house? This, that, or the other thing. So that's kind of going to be our focus for today. I'll let him introduce himself and we'll chop it up.
Yeah, bring me back to the tree falling on the house thing in a little bit. Hi, I'm Mike. Thanks for watching. I've been in the real estate business probably a total of 16 years. I've been a real estate investor probably a total of 6. I've had investors as clients, certainly not all of them, but that's what got me into it. And really now, looking back, it's been vital. So, yeah. Should we jump right to the tree?
Sure, yeah, let's do it.
Okay. So, my first investment property, I just turned 40, and I was, serving a lot of investor clients. I was getting them 2 units and 4 units and 6 units, and I had a bit of an envy, and also was educated at some point. I have some commercial experience, so in the mathematics of it, I love spreadsheets. So I could do the math on why these were good decisions for the clients. And so FOMO is a thing. I started thinking like, man, I'm 40. I need to do some of these things on my own. So a large property owner in town brought me one listing almost bashfully, like, hey, will you list this piece of crap for me? I said, I'll list anything. So we listed the first piece of crap and sold it for $63,000 right by the new Bridge Street Market. Now, Bridge Street Market didn't exist then, but we knew it was coming. So then he brings me another, and he's like, this one's, like, if you like that piece of crap, wait till you see this one. And he's like, bring a flashlight and watch out for the holes in the floor when you go over there. So I brought somebody with me in this case. There were animal carcasses and hypodermic needles in the property. This is on the west side at Gunnison and Watson, which is not a bad area at all. So I went back to him and I said, I want to buy it. And I heard the nuts in my, I threw up a little bit in my mouth. And so we were going to list it for $50. I said, hey, let me scrape together some cash. This is 2016. Scraped together some of my cash and got a few bucks from my dad. And so bought the property from him for $36. Now, it was a win for him because they had been sitting on this thing for years and their construction crews hadn't got to it. So I had a few delays, but a few months later, so I bought the property cash and then was able to go get a construction loan. So from the construction loan point of view, I dumped about $115 into it and ended up with the right appraisal. So, I had those two numbers together, 36 and 115, got to about 150, maybe got a 165 appraisal. But once it was all done, it was all new. Still the nicest property I own. I tell the true story that I stopped bringing my wife there to see the progress because she was like, well, when are you going to do this to our house? And I would say, well, on the 12th of never, because this is really expensive. But then next thing I know, I think my first rent cycle, which by then was 2017, was $1,200 a unit, so 1,200 times 2, 2,400 on what I just revealed to be $115K in debt, which in 2016 interest rates, which I've even refinanced down since.
Wow. So
those were the great old days of interest rates. And the guy that sold it to me, many of you would know him, refers to some of his properties as a money printer or a cash machine. And this became one of those. So that's how I got started. I'm blanking on the original question, if we're being honest.
Tree falling on a roof.
Oh, yeah. Great. So right before I moved those tenants in, I had a Saturday morning of golf with in-laws. And it was out at the Meadows, and I had to run to the pharmacy for my kid. On the way home, I drove past one of my buddy's 2-unit properties. and which is right near Easttown, and he had literally had a tree fall between him and the next property, a big one. It was a storm the night before. I guess that's the key missing piece. And so I texted him like, dude, you got lucky, but you got a big old tree laying in your yard. He's like, thanks, gets it taken care of. I go play golf with my in-laws as I'm driving home from the Meadows. These are on the west side of Grand Rapids. I thought, oh my gosh, I own one now. I better go check. So guess who else got a tree? So my tree also went between the properties. So it didn't, again, this was brand new construction rehab. So the damage was that it tore off a brand new electrical mast. And I had people moving in about a week. So didn't hit the house, but I had to hire an electrician to come out, put up the new electrical mast before I ever had anybody move in. That was an $800 repair. So there's the tree story. If you do this, you will have tree stories. So what about you? Horror stories?
Not a horror story. One thing I wanted to talk about was just the nerves that go into all of this. And a lot of people, once they have a couple properties, they start listing it off like it's just, washing your hands or, yep, I got a 2-unit, a single family, blah, blah, blah. Our second property we closed in May of 2020. So the very thick of COVID. It was a student rental. We had no idea if the college was even going to be in person in session.
Right.
And I just kept telling myself the reward greatly outweighs the risk. Even if they had not gone to school for a year and I had to eat the money, I was able to buy the property for a really good price. Yeah. And it's turned out to be a huge blessing, and maybe not a money printer, but close. Yeah. And I still woke up, I don't anymore too much on that property, but probably for a month in the middle of the night, am I doing the right thing? Am I not? Yeah. And you said before we started filming that you would go from your spreadsheet back to your nerves, spreadsheet back to your nerves. And kind of the gist of all these conversations is, if guys like us can do it and be nervous and be scared, but still power through to be able to tell these stories on the back end, anybody watching can do it. Yeah. If you can work a second job to put a down payment on a home, that's what I did. Yeah. These things don't just fall into your lap, and you can't buy them if you don't have some extra cash. So working hard, these types of things. But any other,
I did the same comparison. I was comparing myself to clients that I was helping buy them, and I did a little bit of the, if they can do it, why can't I do it? I mean, totally. They might have 30 units, they might have 100 units. I want 2, 4. I'm up to 9, and it's a huge blessing having a wife that stays at home with a special needs child. This so far has replaced her working. Yeah. But it's not just like the lack of a salary that she might earn if she was in the workforce, because they're also, every month, they're paying down principal on these loans, which are all really low interest. I mean, I have a 4-unit at 3.5. Try getting that.
Shots fired.
Yeah, right. So, they're going to continue to appreciate. Everybody's freaking out about the regular real estate markets. Appreciation's not over. We could slow down. We could flatten out a little bit, but it's not going to end. We have tax benefits. We have all kinds of other reasons other than salary replacement for my wife not working. And these are basically in perpetuity as long as I can manage to take care of these properties. And so far, I'm only 46. We got a pretty good track record. And if you ever take the time to look at what your portfolio will do just over the next 10 years, it's staggering. The value to me of my 3 properties over the next 10 years, just in what I can realize in the pay downs, the useful cash flow, the appreciation, that's a bigger number than what they're worth right now. It's crazy to think about that. And you do that with spreadsheets.
One thing I always think about, and my wife and I talk about all the time, is our first property was in 2017. We had pretty recently moved to the area. I had just had a baby. My wife had the baby. We had just had the baby together.
You were involved?
Yep. Yes, I was. I fixed it up for 5 months working at night. So either take care of my kids or work a normal job during the day, go there at night, work till 1, 2 in the morning, force myself to listen to Bigger Pockets podcast because I needed that encouragement, painting ceilings, wondering, am I going to lose everything?
Yep.
Okay, fast forward 5 years. That will be the single best financial decision that we've ever made, and you could probably take away everything from me in the next 20, 30 years at retirement age. Give me only that one house, take everything else away, and we could probably still retire. That home will be worth, north of 300 grand. We could sell that and live off that money for the rest of our lives. One property. So you don't have to be a flashy person with a portfolio of 40 units. There's so much pressure with numbers, and the Grant Cardone type people that own thousands. You don't need to do that to be successful, to be truly successful.
That original 2-unit was boarded up with the hypodermic needles and stuff. It's probably worth $300 now. The cash flow on it right now is probably $1,600 a month. After I pay the mortgage.
That's crazy.
And all the attachments to the mortgage, the property taxes and all that.
For a lot of people, that's what they make in a month. For your working class person.
Yep. In the best months, I just had one. People that say that this is entirely passive are stupid.
Yeah, it's not.
It's not. But you can have moments of passivity, if you will. My last month, not a call, not anything from a tenant. Of course, then it was a mailbox money type of month. They're not all like that. I've had nightmares with that same property and a bad tenant even earlier this year. But you get through that, get to the other side, and it's great stuff again. So
cool.
Yeah.
Cool. I think we'll wrap it up there. This is some really good content, for anybody to listen to. Pass it to your dad, pass it to your kids. We're here to answer your questions. We're in the market every day, not to mention working on our own property. So if you're looking to invest, one of us and any other person, that owns, like you said, it's not totally passive. When you're in your properties and you see the day-to-day, what better way to advise somebody as to how to, buy their own?
Exactly. Yeah. It's boots on the ground, skin in the game, if we can throw a few cliches out there, because everybody in real estate does.
Yeah.
So
thanks, Mike.
Thanks for having me.
See ya.